Good afternoon, all you fabulous people. I just wanted to make a follow-up video basically from yesterday. Uh, First off, I apologize. My head was not in the game yesterday, and I messed up a bunch of technical stuff. Thank you all for commenting and correcting me on those. Amnesia does not do mess with fusion. That is erase face. The pulses are unplayable in the new heroes because they're dual elements. The new heroes are single element. Amongst other things, I just missed quite a bit on the video. Overall, thank you all in the comments. I'm glad we were able to correct those. But I mentioned that yesterday that we would just go over the highs, and then I would cover the lows either today or tomorrow, and here we are. So we're going to start off with Regicide, but Fyendal's collection, code JCH, because you have a free month of premium. Thank you all for your booming sub numbers, 333. Thank you all very much for that. And the video yesterday is doing very well, which is on track to be my most watched video, which is pretty crazy. So thank you all for the support. Like and sub if you want to continue seeing more. Thank you. Regicide, the blackout promo card. There's one at 110. There was some up to like 180. They've been slowly trickling down. 110 is about, I think, the low, $20 off the low, so not too bad. But this was before the hype of Misfail and the Assassins. So this is coming down, so just keep your eye on this if you're looking for a blackout promo for Regicide. I have Ophidia. The rainbow foil is coming down. It's damage copy for 320, so it might be worth the risk, but some of them down to like 360. This got up to 400, and I believe this was Riddler Man's eye that sold for $400. They've been slowly trickling down to the 300, but they've held that 350, 360 range pretty well, so I just wanted to point that out. Redback Shroud, the cold foil, I think this is a pretty good pickup at basically $24. My best price I bought one was like $20, so I think this is getting in the range of a good pickup again. And the card I think can see play. It's also a good budget option for a chess piece for Assassin. Hammer of Havenhold. This is Bravant's weapon. This is a rainbow foil promo from the LGS kit, social play kit. I don't think, unless you just want to have this for the rarity sake of it, $25 is not worth this. You can, with the Brevant deck alone, you get the cold foil hammer, and I probably guess it looks better because it's a metal hammer, and cold foil tends to look better with metal. I have the cold foil. I have not seen the rainbow foil, but just wanted to point that out. $25 seems steep for a rainbow foil promo. Miscloak Goalie, both the rainbow foil and the cold foil are dropping, but this is now below Deathmatch Arena, which shocked me, to be honest, because I thought Deathmatch Arena would drop quite a bit more than it did. But I think the rainbow foil is dragging this cold foil down here. 134, I think, is an okay price. I'd say this probably settles, at the rate it's going, probably around $100. But you have to be patient. 134 doesn't seem like a terrible price for this. Also, you get the marbled background as opposed to just the non-foil background. Crown of Providence. It's just so crazy that this card just continues to drop. This is the lowest it's been ever by a pretty significant margin. And it's, I don't know. It seems really good. Really good pickup. For one of the Fab 2.0 Rainbow Foil Legendaries, it's a generic headpiece. It's a very good generic headpiece. Currently, Balance of Justice is just outvaluing it a little bit, or quite a bit in matchups, and I do think it will see its resurgence. Arcanite Skullcap kind of is getting up to this price, which is wild that Crown of Providence may be cheaper than Arcanite Skullcap, but For $65, I would buy the Uprising version, the rainbow foil, over the non-foil from Dusk Till Dawn. But that's just my opinion. Great Library of Solana. The rainbow foil continues to get cheaper. It is under $100, which is the first time in, I think, ever. First time in at least the past year. I would not be shocked quite a bit longer. But the rainbow foil at $100 seems pretty fair, considering the cold foil is nearly $300. Well, let's just call it $300. Crazy. I think the cold foil is probably overpriced, but we'll see. Valiant Dynamo, the rainbow foil continues to get cheaper. This is pretty crazy because I think every warrior besides Olympia and Bolton run this, and so basically the two that aren't really that meta relevant at the moment run this. I just think the cold foil is $120. I'd pick up the cold foil. It's metal with gold inlay. It looks better as a cold foil than it does a rainbow foil. The rainbow foil just looks, I don't know, off with this one. Ancestral Harmony is $26, which is wild because this card, in my opinion, overperformed in Nats and did very well. And Zen was the largest number of players in the field, as well as won Nats. So this card getting cheaper after it won is just wild to me. I don't think this $25 one stays long, and I don't think, we'll see. I'm guessing it goes back to $30, which is wild because I can't believe this card went down after this past weekend. Singularity, $32 I think is a pretty fair thing for a card that's basically always going to be in Tekla-Vossen. This is kind of your end game. Yeah, it's pretty good. And the Marvels, mostly unobtainium for most people, but $32 for the non-foil legendary seems pretty good. 12-petal Kasaya, this also kind of baffled me. This is getting cheaper too after this past weekend. I don't know if Zen ran Tunic, so correct me if I'm wrong there, but I'm pretty sure he ran the 12-petal Kasaya and the cold foil, so I think this 113 is a pretty fair price, especially considering how many people were playing Zen. Snag has gotten cheaper from its big hype. I think $12.50 seems like a pretty good price, considering it is a crew majestic that I don't believe got reprinted in HB1, and it seems to shut down new decently. I think this is going to be a sideboard for a while. So this to basically get half price over it was a couple weeks ago, I think is a pretty good deal. The Evos, especially the Steel Soul, I think are very cheap. The Marvels, I think, are about fair now. I think the Tower is a little bit overpriced, but the rest of these are dirt cheap. The Memory, Steel Soul Memory, I think is undervalued. It's just used in Tekla-Vossen, but Tekla-Vossen will probably find his day in the sun here soon. I don't know if it's going to be using the Steel Souls, but they seem very much like his bread and butter. So $4.50 for basically a card that's going to be a 3 of in most Tekla-Vossen decks in the future seems pretty good. Same with the processor. The controller and the tower are a bit more expensive because they're being used in Max and Dash.io. So I think it's a little harder to price these because they're being used in more decks. But these seem very undervalued in my opinion. I would see anything under 5 on these is still pretty darn good. Grains of Blood still, the cold foil, in my opinion, is one of the better buys in the video. Considering the rainbow foil is $52, the cold foil for $15 more is $68. I would pick up this cold foil. It's pretty darn good. It just hasn't seen a heck of a lot of play yet. I think it's going to be very good in Olympia come in the future whenever they make him pretty good. But $68 seems pretty fair for a cold foil legendary from a set ago. Warband of Bologna, $60 for the EA cold foil. This card is gorgeous, by the way. And Bolton is getting the Armory deck next month, so I think this is a pretty good pickup right now. With that in mind, the Armory deck also is giving you a rainbow foil headpiece that may or may not rival this. We'll see, but at the very least, it will give you a budget option of this. I think the rainbow foil is like $15 too, so I think that's also a good deal. High Octane is basically the cheapest it's been in a year. I would consider picking these up. These seem pretty darn good. Whenever you boost a card this turn, gain an action point, draw a card, go again. So overall, it replaces itself and it gives you extra action points, which action points are pretty darn good, especially when LSS is limiting the kind of action point generation now a little bit more since Fab 2.0. So I think this card's pretty darn good. It also blocks for 3, but Tekla Founding Heart, the rainbow foil at $24. We all saw how Arcanite Skullcap has popped over this past weekend. This seems like a pretty good pickup at this price. I would value the rainbow foil over the non-foil or the white border pretty heavily. So I think this is a pretty good deal from a second set legendary rainbow foil. Tekla Plasma Pistol, 21. Cold foil for a promo card from the second set seems pretty darn good as well. This is the cheapest it's been in a year. This does get seed and play in Dash.io for sure and Dash. So I think this is just kind of undervalued in my opinion. It's the cheapest it's been by good margin. I don't know how it gets much cheaper than that. Similar, I think these are just dirt cheap, especially the non-foils. I would pick up a playset of all of these. LSS printed these in Marvel for a reason. We don't know what that reason is yet. I don't know if they see play, but for the non-foils, for sure. Basically, for $5, you can pick up your whole playset of these. Probably cheaper than that. I'm doing the math wrong. Maybe I'll call it $1.20. $3, you can get a whole playset of these non-foils for Majestic Evo set. Seems pretty good. Stonewall Gauntlet, I think for generic legendary under $20 is always a pretty good pickup. This also did see play over the past weekend at Nats. A few people were using it. So $20 for a card that's seeing pro level play and a legendary of the most recent set seems kind of undervalued in my opinion. Nasty Surprise, a $1 generic that is seeing play because it's a blue block 3, as well as it has kind of a niche effect, but doesn't get used that much. But a blue block 3 that also attacks 2 is pretty good. Arcanite Skullcap, the non-foil is $20. The rainbow foil is like $60. So if you're in the market for a Skullcap, I'd get the Everfest version now. Wrecker Romp, rainbow foil promo, $14 for these. Seems pretty good. The older rainbow foil Wrecker Romp from the original Welcome to Wraith is like $40. So this seems like a pretty good deal. You can get a playset for basically the price of one. This is, just keep in mind, just to show you how good Wrecker Romp is, it is the only blue 6 attack block 3 that Brute can utilize. Or 2 cost as well. So it pretty much makes every Brute list. Scabskin Leathers, the rainbow foil is $36. I think this is too cheap for a card that is seeing play in one of the higher end decks of KO. Rhinar also plays it. Levia also plays it. It's a Battle Worn 2 with the opportunity for some action points. Seems very good. I think it's the cheapest it's been in a year as well by a few bucks. So I think this is probably a pretty good pickup. Amplifying Arrow. This card is seeing play in Azaleas a little bit. $1.50 for this card seems pretty darn good. There's a lot of pumps. Azalea is using it. I don't know if it will see play in another deck, but I just wanted to highlight this one because it also has kind of the earthy. This card is very out of the ordinary for Ranger's aesthetic, and it's a very kind of, when you pull up all the Ranger cards, this one kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. So maybe LSS has a plan around this card. They've also kind of used a teaser for in the past using this card just recently. So LSS, I think, has a plan with this one, but we'll see. But $4.50 for a playset of this seems pretty good for a card that's seeing play in Azalea, which is also one of the higher tier decks in the meta right now. Barbed Undertow, I just really like this card. $3.20 or $3.60 for a playset for a pretty darn good effect, especially against stuff like New and Enigma and Zen that they're trying to use quite a bit of blues. This seems like a no-brainer, as well as Guardians using blues, Fi using reds, this kind of stuff. It can shut down pretty well, as well as giving it a pump seems really strong, or an aim counter. So you have to do the aim counter thing, but I don't think LSS have given up on the aim counter thing. Murky Water for $2 seems like I think that's fair now that I think about it. It's a Riptide specialization, but it's from their most recent set, so I think $1.80 for this seems fair price. Seek and Destroy, nearly $3 for this, but is a very good pump. Basically gives you on hit better inertia, in my opinion. But it blocks 2. It's a 0 cost. Very good for Rangers in general. This card seems too cheap. Rain Razors, $3.50. I think is pretty well too cheap. Basically, securing your on hits of your nasty arrows is pretty good. Just put this sucker in arsenal and just wait until they, oh, you didn't block properly. Here's another +2. Have the nasty on hits. Very good card. Endless Arrow for $2 for a super from Arcane Rising, I think is a steal. And it's also basically made it into virtually, or quite a few of the decks, Ranger decks around. I don't think there's been a Ranger deck that hasn't really utilized this because it helps you with your fatigue problem of losing your red arrows. So this basically hits and it goes back in your hand and gets you another arrow for your another turn. It's also a 0 cost 4 attack, block 3. So it's just an overall very good card for Flesh and Blood. Excuse me. Quiver of Abyssal Depths. Rainbow Foil for $4.50 for a fatigue strat. Seems pretty darn good. The Cold Foil, where's it at? $20. I think I'd rather buy four Rainbow Foils than the Cold Foil at that price, but that's just my opinion. 3 of a Kind. This card saw a lot of play with Lexi. Doesn't mean it won't see play again. Draw 3 cards until the end of your turn. You may only play cards from your arsenal. Pretty strong. I think it's pretty decent in Riptide because you can cycle cards into your arsenal. Kind of a more aggressive Riptide strat. And using New Horizon, this card can be pretty good. This and New Horizon are pretty good friends. You just got to make sure you can load cards into arsenal, basically. Heist, $5 for this card seems very undervalued. $15 for a playset. This card was $20 when Bright Lights came out. It's one of the better boost cards from the set, as well as it can steal items from your opponent. As more items enter the game, this card becomes better and better. Pulse Wave Harpoon. This card was $20 when Mechal and Bright Lights really took off. $6 for this for Dynasty Majestic is pretty cheap. I think it's the cheapest it's been, almost the cheapest it's been in a year. So I think this is a good pickup as well. And lastly, I just wanted to highlight the generic legendaries. I think most of them are a pretty good buy. We mentioned Crown of Providence and Arcanite Skullcap. Vambrace is coming down a little bit. It spiked up to 35. But the tunics, especially in Crown of Dominion, I think are also a pretty good pickup. They're the lowest they've been. Let's look at Welcome to Wraith tunic. It's the lowest they've been in over a year. So I think these are pretty good pickups, especially the Welcome to Wraith one. If you're getting the tunic, I recommend spending the extra money for it. Crown of Dominion, I think, is fair priced right now. $36 for a generic legendary headpiece that basically opens you up to a whole new playstyle is very, very good. All right, thank you guys. Have a fantastic Tuesday. I'll catch you later in the week. And that's it. Bye.